my goodness, welcome back. I wanted to take you through my process of learning a deck. So I very recently picked up the Arc 5. I don't know if I've been saying it right or wrong. I don't know if there is a right or wrong. I picked up the latest pre-con decks, right? And I built Lunalight, and I need to figure out how to learn this. And I thought, let me share my process with you. If you are someone who's new to Yu-Gi-Oh, or there's like a new deck that you want to learn, but you're like, how? Where do I even start? I'm going to walk you through my process, and I feel like this process can be generalized for any deck. And so the goal for today is not to be a master of Lunalight. I'm thinking this might take me an hour, 2 hours. I'm going to speed through things. You don't have to sit with me through the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of show you I'm going to talk you through it. The goal is to be able to at least play a couple games and feel ready to sit down across from someone for practice games or log into Omega and get some practice games in. So yeah, let's learn Lunalight let me give you some advice on how to learn any Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Let's do it. Oh my goodness, hi, it's me from the future. I decided to film my process for this and then just voice over what I'm doing because I am genuinely trying to learn this deck, and I knew if I approached learning the deck through the I'm also actively making content and talking through it while I'm doing it, I'm not going to learn as well. So instead I was like, I'm just going to film my process, voice over it, and then also go at 2x speed so that way you can see what I'm doing faster. So step one, well, technically prior to this video, step one was I made the deck in real life. I understand that if you don't have access to the cards and you want to learn it online, there's a lot of really great online simulators, but I made the deck in real life, and then I am now copying the deck in real life into Omega. I did make a mistake on this that I catch later of the deck list I have. It actually only has 2 Scarlet Tigers. If you saw my vlog where I was like going to go get the Arc V decks, you'll know that I copied this deck off of a video. And I think that's a good thing to start. I really think when you're first starting, find a list. I will fix it as I see necessary. I want to try what someone else did, and then we'll figure it out from there. But I think trying to create your own list, go for it. I'm not going to tell you no. I am going to say I think that's going to make it harder. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm creating this in Omega. My reason for creating it in Omega is because this is going to allow me to do test hands. This is also going to allow me to read the cards in a much bigger font than it would be. This is the first deck I'm trying. Well, technically the second deck that I am trying to learn that I do not have a person in my life who has played it before. Meaning, my boyfriend played Malice for a really long time, so he was able to walk me through combos. When Yummy came out, there was other people who had already been studying the combos and were able to help me figure it out. Elf Note, my boyfriend's been playing Elf Note for a really long time. So Blitzclick was the first deck that I was having to kind of figure out fresh, and now Lunalight. So the first thing is you're going to need to read all of the cards. So after I make the deck list, my next goal is going to be to read all the cards. I do recommend if you have people in your life who can help summarize or kind of give you an insight to the deck, it would be helpful. I will say learning Blitzclick, luckily Leo was also learning Blitzclick, and so I did have someone to kind of brainstorm with or watch him play. I do not really learn well from watching content. The way I learn is not, I don't know. I think it's something about how much it's trying to process with the auditory and the visual. So having someone in your life that can especially if they've played the deck. I know Lunalight's been out forever, and I didn't super go around, and I haven't asked everybody, hey, do you know Lunalight? Can you help me out with it? I literally just asked my boyfriend. He never played Lunalight, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna start from scratch. So after I made the deck list, because now I have it in Omega, so I can do practice, I can do test hands, I'm going to read through every card, and I am deciding this time to take notes. I genuinely have zero idea what these do. I will even say with Blitzclick, I at least was like, oh, they're trying to pop stuff. I have never read a Lunalight card until today, and I need to read them. I'm choosing to take notes because writing stuff down, just like teacher tip, study tip, it activates a part of your brain because it's like multiple modalities. You are reading it with your eyeballs and then you're using your hand to write stuff down. It's just to help me internalize more. So much of Yu-Gi-Oh! When you are building a deck is you need to know what your cards do and their effects. I admittedly got overwhelmed as I was reading these Lunalight cards. I'm reading all the cards that I don't particularly know. So like Fractal, I don't really know what he does. This deck, the only cards I know for sure what they do is Called By and Impulse. And I mean, I can make, and Charmies. Like I can make, obviously on polymerization, you know, it doesn't have a lot of text on it either. So I can make some guesses on that. I got overwhelmed reading these because the Lunalight cards, like most Yu-Gi-Oh cards, are going to have multiple effects. What you're looking for when you're reading these. Well, my tips for when you are reading your cards, and I do recommend writing stuff down. I feel like it really did help me. You are looking for which cards are on summon, which cards have ignition. Do they have graveyard effects? And what is a commonality amongst the archetype? So Yu-Gi-Oh, luckily to help us learn, when they make an archetype, they all kind of have a gimmick. So for example, Elf Note, all of the girls except for, well, all of the girls, when they have something to do with the middle zone. So what I was originally going to say is all of the girls except Regina, they can inherently special summon themselves to the center main monster zone. Regina cannot inherently summon herself, but when she is summoned to the center main monster zone, then she has an on summon effect. If we're looking at, Yummy, all of the synchros have a return and resummon from grave, and the monsters, Cupsy, Cookie, Lolly, they have a when they are reborn from grave by a synchro effect, they have an additional effect. All of the Blitzclick are targeting something to pop. You're just having to figure out like, okay, Grain is targeting spells, Surge is targeting monsters. I realized that Lunalight, they pretty much all have if this card is sent to graveyard by card effect. That's what they have. If this card is sent to graveyard by card effect, they do something. I will say that they all do something different-ish. It normally revolves around a search or a summon, but it's not like Blitzclick was a lot easier because it's like, oh, you target something to pop. You just have to like read the card to remember what you can target to pop. And then you can special summon a Thunder monster from hand. They were very, copy paste with the effects to be able to do that. Whereas the Lunalight cards, they don't have that. So Yellow Martine says you can add a Lunalight spell trap from your deck to your hand. Let me actually look at my notes. But so what I'm looking for is on summon versus ignition. And then I'm also looking for like, okay, what is the gimmick? What is this deck trying to do? As I was reading through this, I realized that if I play this and I get shifted, GG's. So that's everything. The more you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And you start picking up a new deck, you're going to see the flaws of like what makes a deck more meta than something else. And normally when decks have super extreme hard counters, like if one shifter can make it so you literally can't play the game, which I know a lot of decks can't, but like this one particularly, like Elf Note's another one that's really bad into shifter. They're just extreme. They're not even like hard counters. They're literally like you can't play the game. So Scarlet Tiger, if it's sent to the grave by card effect, you can special summon a non-level 5 Lunalight from grave or face up extra deck. Kaleido Chick, I'm realizing is because you also want to look for like once per turn stuff. And I'm realizing the Kaleido Chick gets abused a lot because it lets you send a Lunalight monster to grave from deck, or I think face up extra deck, or it definitely lets you send from deck, and that's cost. And all of these have a if they're sent to graveyard by card effect thing. So Kaleido Chick is your way to get them there. Emerald does have an on summon to send a Lunalight card from hand to graveyard, and then you can draw one. It's not cost. And if it is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you get to resummon a level 4 or lower, but it is negated. That's another thing you're looking for is cost versus not cost. So Kaleido Chick, even if it's negated, you can always pay cost. So Kaleido Chick comes back negated, but because you can keep doing the effect with the quote unquote new copy that went to grave and came back, it's busted because you can keep just sending. Yellow Martine, if it is sent to graveyard by card effect, you get an add a Lunalight spell trap. Leo is on summon, and if a Lunalight monster is sent to graveyard while it's on the field, you can add it back to hand. So later on in this video, I start trying to practice combos, and I realize like, okay, so you send the black sheep because you want to add back the black sheep by using the gold Leo effect. Silver, if it's sent to graveyard by card effect, you can special summon a Lunalight from deck. But you can't special summon from the extra deck except Lunalights while that is on the field. That isn't too much of a problem. It also has a quick effect by banishing itself in a fusion. So you're also looking for like grave effects. Black Sheep, if it is used as fusion material, you can add a face-up pendulum or Lunalight monster. You can also discard for cost and add a Lunalight monster from graveyard. Sheep is also how you add poly from deck. So you activate it in hand, you discard a card, and then you can add polymerization. If you're listening to all this and you're like, oh my gosh, that is so much, it is. It is. And I would be lying if I said while I was reading through all of these cards, I did not get this pit in my stomach of how in the world am I going to remember all this? How am I going to figure out? And I will tell you, it will take time. Please have patience with yourself. Please realize this is step one. This is like, imagine if you were deciding to run a marathon and yeah, maybe you've like jogged a little bit. Maybe you've worked out some. Like, it's not like, you know, you can go up a flight of stairs without like completely being out of breath, but like you don't run marathons. The first day of training, you're not going to go in and be like, I'm going to run the entire marathon. You're going to burn yourself out. That is the same with learning Yu-Gi-Oh decks. And I think, at least for me, something I've noticed when I watch people online share about learning a deck, I have to remind myself, these people already know it. The learning process has happened behind the scenes. The practice has happened. That's why I'm trying to show you the practice of like, okay, here's like an hour of what I did. This is one of many hours that it's going to take for me to feel competent and comfortable with this deck. Keep that in mind. The people that you're watching just like do these combos and you're like, how do they just know it? How do they remember what all the different, if they're sent to graveyard Lunalight triggers are? They practice. It's gonna take a while. So that's why I'm trying to write it down. My plan is to, like what I just did, like reviewing my notes in my voiceover, just like reviewing my notes, just kind of looking and trying to remember. I also try to keep track of my questions. I will be completely honest with you. There's a question I need to look up after I do this because there is a extra deck monster that I am not entirely sure why it is here. For the extra deck monsters, I am less concerned about what they do and more concerned about the materials, because once they're on field, I feel like extra deck monsters are less a part of the actual combo and more a part of like your end board. Except for, okay, see, Lunalight Leo Dancer, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And you see my face, right? I'm not playing a Panther Dancer. I am not sure why Lunalight Leo Dancer, like I'm assuming I don't actually fusion summon it. So here I am, I'm like reading my cards because I'm like, maybe one of these lets you like ignore summoning conditions, and maybe it does, and I just like didn't catch that, because then I'm looking up like what even is Lunalight Panther Dancer, and I'm like, maybe when I made the deck it was supposed to be there. I do end up looking up other deck lists, because that's the thing, is like I'm trying to also make sure that the deck list that I copied isn't some like super like, a lot of decks tend to follow a very similar pattern. Again, like if I'm speaking to Elf Note, because that's what I've been playing, Elf Note is going to have 3 Reginas, 3 Tinias, 3 Lucinas, 1 Fortuna. You're probably not going to see more than 1 Fortuna. So here I am looking it up because I'm like, are people playing Panther Dancer to get into Leo Dancer. And here I'm like, okay, this one is playing Panther Dancer and Leo Dancer. And what I'm looking for is like, did I mess up? And are people playing Panther Dancer without Leo Dancer? And here they are. So this is letting me know this is something I'm going to have to figure out later. I don't know why we're playing Leo Dancer. I'm not entirely sure what that has to do with anything. But if you are concerned that the list that you found, like as you're reading through it, if you're like, this doesn't make sense, my tip is like, check other deck lists. Like, don't really read into it. Don't change anything. Just check and be like, okay, is this a common thing that people like? Can I find another list that's playing the, the Leo Dancer without the Panther Dancer? I did. So now I'm trying to look up combos. I would like to read a combo. I did not spend $30. I also did not necessarily want to watch a video because, like I said, just watching videos is not the way that I particularly, once I kind of have an understanding of what the cards do, but I've always really liked reading more than watching. Earlier in the day, I went ahead and tried to look up combos on my laptop, and I found a really cool website that I don't know if any of you have ever heard of before, but I could not for the life of me find it on my desktop. So I went to my laptop, and it's YGOcombo.com. Okay. I don't know if this is, okay, don't come for me. I literally just found it today. But that website, and I'll try to do an overlay here of what I was looking at because I moved it to my second monitor so I could actually do test hands. It not only shows you what the end board is supposed to be, it literally walks you through step by step. So I am looking at the combo and it's going normal summon gold Leo. Then you search or you send the silver hound, and then you're going to not activate the effect of gold Leo to add it back, but you're going to activate silver hound to special summon, and you're going to do Kaleido Chick, and it like walks you through step by step by step. So this is another reason I recommend making your deck in an online simulator where you can practice and you have the hand holding. Okay, if you've been here from the beginning and if you're like, oh my gosh, Raina recommending online simulators, it's a touchy subject for me because while I really do think part of my growth came from practicing paper Yu-Gi-Oh! And not having the hand holding of the reminders, which I could turn them off, okay? In Omega, you can turn off the like, do you want to activate a trigger effect? Do you want to, like, I do think that's a hand hold. It's like the bumpers at bowling that can impact you when you are going to play in person, because if you are not of your own volition having to remember your triggers because you're always having something pop up and go, hey, you have a trigger. Yeah, the odds that you're probably going to actually remember when you're on your own are lower. So that's why it's really good to have a good mix of practice. For this instance, because I'm already set up at the computer and I know I'm eventually going to be doing games in Omega, I'm okay with the hand holding because this is a combo deck, and that's why I wanted to play it. I love me a good combo deck, but on, like, you probably saw, like, in the overlay, it says 50 steps. It's allegedly a 50. Now, granted, it's kind of breaking down everything to like sub steps, so I don't think it's really 50 steps. It's a lot. It's a lot of steps, and I still at this point have not gotten to the end board because even with the hand holding, I messed up because, like, for example, here I activated the trigger effect, which I wasn't supposed to activate the trigger effect. I'm supposed to activate the effect to detach all material and then attach something to, yeah, you can see I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So I still had to start over. Now my plan is to do this exact process with my actual cards as well. So a mix of, I don't know, sometimes, you just want to be laying on the couch and you have like a TV show on. I just get on my laptop and I'll just like mess around with combos on Omega. Like, you just don't have to be like set up at a table. But I do recommend, and I am planning on going to sitting down at a table and opening up a hand that I have like set up, right? Like making sure I have gold Leo because that seems to be the one card starter. And I'm starting with this. I'm starting with this one combo. You can also see I'm watching myself back and I'm like, oh yeah, you can tell I'm in the zone because I started chewing on my shirt. Well, not compulsively, but like side story, I was the kid in like elementary school that had like the wet shirt collar. How I wasn't diagnosed with autism sooner, I'm not entirely sure. But my like shirt collar, whenever I get super hyper focused on stuff, I've always had like a chewing thing. So I chew on my shirt collar. My hoodies or long sleeves from elementary through high school, honestly, probably through early college, I would gnaw holes through my sleeves. Any long sleeve, I would just, and I still will, as you can tell, like nibble. I've tried not to because it's really not good. It's not good for your like orthodontic life to be doing that, but you know, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, the way I'm learning this deck kind of, you know, as you're watching me do this combo to kind of recap is step 1, I found a deck list online that I liked and I created it in person and then I recreated it on an online simulator. Step 2 is I went through and I read every single card that I am unfamiliar with. For this deck, that was the majority of them. It felt very overwhelming. I did at one point start having those negative thoughts of like, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is going to be too much. And then I had to remind myself, positive self-talk, it's going to take time. This is literally the first time you're doing this. Try to stay focused. Try to read the card. It's going to be okay. And then after I took my notes and read the card, I found a combo that I can follow along with. And I, at this point, am just trying to practice that one combo. Now, the way you can find a combo that you want to practice is by like the website that I showed you, seeing if they have any combos up there. You can, of course, go to YouTube and look up someone's combo video. I recommend this. Okay. I remember when I was first learning Yu-Gi-Oh! And more experienced players, the more you know about Yu-Gi-Oh, you will be able to watch the combo videos and have a better understanding of what they're doing. I was shocked when I was first trying to learn like Yummy and people were like, yeah, watch this video. And I'm like, I don't even know what a synchro summon is, y'all. What am I watching? So I think that's also too where combo videos, depending on where you are in your Yu-Gi-Oh learning journey, they can feel really overwhelming. And then it made me feel dumb because I was like, how are other people just watching? How are we watching this like video that to me was going so fast? I had no idea what was happening. So what I recommend doing is if you're going to learn off of YouTube, slowing it down, pausing and following along. I think that following along with the combo videos is going to be like the easiest thing, and just slowing it down and pausing. But you know, I was really happy to find that list because again, I like looking at a list of things, and that Yu-Gi-Oh combo website, I was super stoked to find it, and hopefully it's a good one. This combo is allegedly supposed to end on like 3 Liger Dancers. I never figured out how to get to 1 Liger Dancer because I would mess up somewhere in the combo every time. And as you saw, I had the wrong, you know, Brotherhood of the Fire Fist. I had the wrong one. It looked the same, but it wasn't the same. So I had to like go through. I had to back out, surrender, quote unquote, lose, and then back out. And yeah, so then it's at this point, it is practice, and repetition, rereading the cards, reading through your notes, and it will eventually start making sense. Remember that learning anything takes time. So, you know, but yeah, I'm just gonna, I just keep practicing the combo that I'm looking at. And that was my process for the day. So yeah, that's the process. This took about an hour. This was like a real life hour that I sped up so you weren't sitting here necessarily for an hour. So next steps is I'm going to continue trying to practice this one combo. I feel like practicing this one combo is going to help me learn as many of the steps as like what the cards do. Once I feel comfortable with what the cards do with that one combo, I am planning on watching some YouTube videos for combos. I struggle learning just like, I struggle learning, period. Like, it's one of those things that like following along with the list, like just purely like reading through a list makes more sense to me. Having the input be like the visual guides and then the auditory of the person talking, I often feel like they go too fast for me. And I like to follow along. So that's going to be my plan, is to have Omega open, follow along with what they're doing. And the more I start figuring out, like, okay, what's the end goal? Honestly, the next big step, which is why I like that website, because it's like, what's the end goal? I can start thinking of like, okay, what are other ways to get to the end goal? How else can I get into this combo? What if a part of the combo gets interrupted? How do you keep, because like that's the thing about YGO, right? Is it's so complex in terms of, yes, there's the combo, but what if it gets interrupted at step 5? What if step 1 gets interrupted? So that's next steps. And then doing some like, if you have someone to sit down to practice with, I think that's always really good, because then you can like talk to each other, you can ask questions. There's just like, you can get that feedback. I personally feel like going and playing in simulators, the time, I can't move fast enough for the online simulator with a deck that I don't know. So that just tends to stress me out and make me more frustrated than just being able to sit down across from someone. If you don't have an in real life person, you can always ask, a friend on Discord. If you haven't joined my Discord, I guess this is a plug. There's people who will remote duel and like even just like offer advice and stuff. So trying to find like a Discord community, or just people to practice with. And I guess my biggest tip that I'm also telling myself, learning a deck takes time. I, prior to this, was like, I have 48 hours to learn Lunalight if I want to take it to locals. It's like, no, there's other decks I can take, or I could take Lunalight and just use it as a learning experience. Learning takes time. You will get better at a deck the more you practice, and the more you learn different decks, the faster it all builds, right? Like the first deck you learn takes a really, really long time, and the next one you learn, some things start clicking and you're like, oh wait, I'm starting to notice patterns. And then the next one gets faster and the next one gets faster. I will learn Lunalight faster than I learned Malice, but I'm not going to be pro and like, winning a bunch of games with Lunalight immediately. I would even say within the first, if your goal is you're like, I'm going to pick up this deck and in 2 days, I'm going to like win a locals. Good for you. It's going to require more than the time I have to put into doing that. So that's everything too. Adjust your goals accordingly. Don't burn yourself out on being like, I want to learn this new deck. And then you go and you play it at locals and you get absolutely crushed. Like you're learning. Do not tie your enjoyment of this game to winning. And also realize that some locals are super sweaty and super meta, and Lunalight just might not perform at that place. So find an online community, play on Omega, make some friends to play with, whether that be in real life or on a Discord community. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. This was like step 1. I'll try to continue checking in as I'm learning and things that I have figured out. Huge shout out to all of the amazing Yu-Gi-Oh creators who have put out the combo lists and the guides and like the videos that I'm going to end up looking at. Like, it is really nice to have all these resources, because I don't know. Like, I was really proud of myself with Fairy Tale that I managed to like engineer my own like combo. That took so much effort that I do not, it's back to school season. I keep saying that it's gonna be back to school season until like October. I'm gonna be referring to it as back to school season for the next 2 months, because it is. I don't have the brain cells for that. I need to reheat someone's nachos. So thank you to everyone who made the nachos for me to reheat and try to learn. But yeah, let me know if you're playing any of the new decks that came out in the Arc V, Arc 5, pre-cons. And yeah, I, along with this, I remade Pearly. I'll share some of that because it was my first deck I ever played. I love Pearly. I'm still going to be playing Elf Notes because I feel like I have to have a meta deck to meta grind, especially when I'm getting upset at the meta. But yeah, thanks for joining. Hope this was helpful, and we'll catch you on the next one.